All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us talk about the last step for this protective case assignment. So as usual, I'm using my Lego cooler to illustrate some things. If you, for some reason, do not have a protective case, you can use any assembly that you already have to do this assignment. It's pretty straightforward, shouldn't take you very long. I'm actually doing this. I played around with it, but I'm doing this all the way through for the first time. So I might make mistakes too. And if I can do it, you can do it. All right. So we're starting with a part studio where these parts reside. If you did more than one, you're going to have to kind of go back and forth to those. So first things first is within the part studio, you're going to have to name all the parts that are going into the assembly. So you might have to go from one to the other, or if in my case here, I've got them all in one. And one thing is you're going to rename those parts. If they just say part 1 and 2, go rename. I've already named 2 of mine. I've got the bit cooler base and the cooler top. Now I've also got 2 pins back here that I'm going to deal with. And we're going to assign a name. So pretty easy, pin 1. I'll call the other one pin 2. I wonder if you can just double click on that one. Nope, got to right click and rename. Pin 1, pin 2, and we have to make sure everything's got a material assigned to it. Now I happen to know that I've already assigned a material, assign material. I right clicked on it, and then there's a drop down menu. I chose ABS already for my plastic. So let's just, for simplicity, choose either ABS plastic or choose nylon. So I think I'll make the top nylon. I already made it ABS, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and scroll. So if you're not doing if you're doing a different assembly, and by the way, if you choose a different assembly, do something simple that's only got a few parts. Don't do something crazy like your Lego project, because that would get insane. All right, so I've got my material, and then this pin, if you remember right from our assignment where we redid the hinge on the protective case, it was a 40 something steel. So I'm going to assign material to that, and I'm going to scroll down to find steel. There we go. And there's a 4130. That's the one I'm going to use for those steel pins. Okay. I wonder if I can do it to both of them at the same time. I've never tried this before. Let me see if I can hit Control on there and right click. Assign material for 2 parts. Cool, you can do that. All right. That saves a little bit of time. All right, cool. So there's a new trick. All right. So I've assigned material to both of those things. Saves us a little bit of time. All right, now we're going to do an exploded view of this thing. And there's a few steps that we have to do. So first of all, in this exploded view, we're going to show what the parts are, and we're going to show what the materials are and how many of them that there are. So now if I did this in the assembly environment, I would have probably done 1 pin duplicated twice. I didn't quite do it that way, so that's okay. We're just learning how to do this stuff. So over here to the right is, I think it's configuration panel. Nope, it's tables. Nope. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I've got to go into the assembly environment. So whoops. Okay. So now that I've got everything ready to go, I've got everything named, and I've got it assigned a material. I'm going to go into my assembly environment, and so I'm going to start a new assembly. You might already have one. It's up to you as to how you get this done, but we have to do the exploded view within the assembly environment. So for me, I'm going to insert that cooler part. Okay. Now in the assembly environment, this is all going to be able to come apart. all right, because they're not connected together. I have no fastened things yet, and that's fine. So first, before we get going, over here to the right, I'm now going to open up this configuration panel. No, I'm not. Sorry. I'm going to go to the BOM table because it's the BOM. That stands for Bill of Materials. All right. Now this brings up, it's a little hard to see because it kind of goes right to the edge of my monitor here. But it is going to have some certain columns in here. So if we scroll around, I've got 4 things. I've got item, which is by default quantity, part number, and description. Now, I never put in a part number and I never put in a description. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to right click on part number and hit remove column. I want quantity to stay there. And I'm going to right click on description and remove that column. Now we got item, quantity. I'm going to add 2 columns to this because I want to know what the name of the part is. So I'm going to add the name. I don't know if that's my name or the name of the part. I think it's the name of the part. I hope. We'll see what happens. Might have to go back and do that, redo that. Oh, nope, it shows up. Good. That's what I wanted it to say. And then I'm going to add 1 more column. I'm just normal left clicking on this up here at add column, and I'm going to add material. Okay. Okay. Now, if you have nothing there, it means you never assigned a material to it. Okay. And if this says part 1 or part 3, it means you never did that and you have to go back and do that. Okay, cool. So we've got this ready to go. Okay. Now I can collapse this thing because I know what I'm doing here. Okay. And our next thing is that we're going to do an exploded view. That means we're going to pull it all apart. And this is kind of fun. So down here, we did the top one to activate the BOM table, and now we're going to do exploded views. So click on exploded views. And this gets a little bit tricky, so pay attention. There's 2 things we have to do. First of all, you have to add an exploded view, okay? Because this is a thing that's going to show up in a drawing file. So I have to add one, okay? It's called explode one. That's fine for now. If you're doing more than one, you probably ought to call it, main exploded view or whatever. And now I'm editing it. When I'm done, I can click done. Now, pay close attention because there's some things that are going to happen in here. Now, I try and do this how the real world would work. And in the real world, you can't have a solid move through a solid, right? So I can't take, in this case of this guy, if I have a pin, if I have an item going through this, I can't magically take this pin and go up through it, right? It would have to go out this way. So try and do it in the way that would really, really work. So, so I think what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to keep it this way, I think, and we'll pull the pins out. So it's going to be a little bit hard to do. In fact, I may go from here, and I'm going to choose this pin. Now, watch what happens when I choose that. You could click on it, but I can't really get to that. So I'm going to choose my first pin. When you click on a part or you choose it from the browser, it's going to bring up this little thing. And then you can grab one of the arrows and pull it. Now, you can actually do this more than once. So I'm going to pull this a ways away, okay? And that is my first translation in. And I thought I could go more than one direction at a time. Let me see if I can do that again. No, it's only allowing me to go one distance. Now, there's a translation or a rotation. Right now we're doing a translation, right? It's moving from one place to another in a straight line. So there's good. Okay, once I check on that, now this thing shows up again. So when you click the little green check mark, it's going to allow you to move it in a different direction. So now I can actually do that. Green check mark. Okay, Cool. Now I'm going to hit escape because I'm done moving that pin. Although maybe I can just click on the next one. Let's find out. Click. Oh yeah. And it'll allow me to move that up. And then yes, or out. And then I'm going to move it up. Yes. Okay. Good. Now I'm going to move this part, and I'm going to move it upward. Okay, check. And now just for fun, just because I want to do it, I'm going to rotate it. It should just kind of snap to 90 degrees, or I might rotate it like that. And check. Now, I'm going to hit escape to get out of those commands, which turned that off, and that's fine. So now I can go back to, if you ever hit escape to get out of it, we're going to have to double click on explode 1 to go back to it, and it's going to show that. Now I can actually take this little bar, if you want to check this out, and drag it. I thought I could drag it. Maybe it won't let me go all the way to the beginning. Okay, it's a little tricky to roll and go through your steps. Unfortunately, there's no way to animate this. I really wish there was. It would be kind of cool to be able to do that. Or at least I've not found a way to animate it in searching. All right, cool. So we've got that. Now, we're going to show this in a drawing file where we show what these parts are. So it's really important that you get this kind of in a way that looks good, that shows what these parts are. So I actually like that. Now, I can actually go back and see what those steps are. So there's step 1, move that. Step 2, move that. Step 3 is where it moved that outwards. I can double click on that and say, I didn't want to move it quite that far because I wanted it to be a little bit symmetrical. And notice that it edited that part in place. I hit escape again because I'm used to doing that. There we go. So I really like the way that looks right now. Get it to the way where you can kind of see everything. And now what we have to do is we have to create a view. So in order to do that, I'm going to come over here to the camera. I think, again, this is my first time doing this all the way through. So left click on it. Okay. And I want to do a named view. So we're going to do this view that we're looking at right now. I'm going to make a named view. And I'm going to call it, I need to call it something that I'll recognize later. So I'll call it exploded cooler for me. You call yours whatever you want. As long as you can recognize it, we're good. So, and we're going to, I think, add that view. Okay, we already did, so we look good. So we should have a view called exploded cooler. So let's go to name views and see if that's true. Yes, I've got it in there. All right, cool. So we did that all within the assembly environment. I can kind of reduce that now. Another thing is you can get rid of this panel if you want to take a look at things. And I am done editing, so done. Cool. All right. Now, next step, and here's where you're going to show what you did, is we're going to create a new drawing file. Okay. If you're in millimeters, go ahead and choose millimeters. If you're in inches, let's choose inches. Typical ANSI A inch drawing. Okay. That's what I want. And now it gets a little tricky. Okay. This popped up for me. Let's pretend it didn't, and I need to insert a view. I'm going to insert, and we are going to insert an assembly, not a part studio. And I've got this assembly too. I wish I'd named it something. I didn't. And when we go to put that in there, now, here's what's important. Pay attention, please. We are going to, instead of doing the view orientation in front, we're going to choose, notice there is exploded cooler that I named earlier, right? It's in there. And unfortunately, it might take a little while. Let's see if it shows up. Oh, what's wrong here? Well, what's happening here is it's not showing me the exploded view because my position, my display state or my exploder position, instead of default, I have to choose that explode that I have. So let's go through that again. I'm inserting an assembly. My view orientation was what I chose, or the view that I created earlier called exploded cooler, or you called it whatever you called it. And my explode is going to be whatever you created when you did explode one. Now it should give me a little preview. Sometimes take a little while to load. Cool. Okay. Now my placement is going to be important because I'm going to have a table in this. So I want to make sure I'm leaving room for the table. This is a little small. I think I'm going to go 3:1. See how that looks. Yeah, like that. All right. Now, once I click, it should show me those trails. Yeah. Once I left click to put it into place. And this isn't a technical drawing. This isn't showing dimensions or anything. It's showing parts. So I'm going to right click on that and I want to show a shaded view. I want to show it in all its glory. Cool. Okay. So I think I'm going to move this over here because I'm going to put my table. We'll see what happens. Maybe my table will fit up here. We'll find out. All right. Next thing is I'm going to insert a table. And up here in the right is, remember that thing when we made the BOM table? Okay. So up here is BOM table, the bill of materials table. Click. And it will say, well, where do you want to put it? And it'll give you a preview of what it looks like. So mine's going to fit really well up in the upper left. You could put it in lower left if it fits. It's kind of up to you as to where you put it. So mine seems to want to fit in the upper left. Now, what's weird is it doesn't seem to automatically go there, but you can snap it up there into that corner when that little square shows up. I'm going to click on that. And it will show me now what we have, our items and what they're made out of and all that stuff. Okay, so next thing is we're going to identify what these parts are with these things called call outs, or they're called balloons sometimes. So I'm going to click on that. And again, I've not done this much before. So here we go. It's going to give it a item number. So I'm going to hover over a part until I find where I want an arrow to point to. Now it's going to be different for everybody, but I think I'm going to point on that and click, pull. Notice it shows a little arrow pointing to that part. Doesn't matter where you put it. You kind of judge what you think looks good and click again. Okay. Now it keeps this same thing open. Okay. So that is part number 4 on my list. If you hit escape, this will go away, or if you hit this, but I can go to my next one now. You choose where you're going to put it. Okay. It's a good idea to kind of go towards the middle of the part. In fact, I wish I'd done that with that number 4. Click. Now I'm ready for the next one. I think I'm going to do the kind of the middle of this. By the way, don't go straight with these. They should be at a little bit of an angle because you don't want to confuse this with, you don't want to confuse your balloons with lines on an object. Let's see, this one, I think I'll go over here. No, I don't like that. Let me do that again. I think I'll go over here. There we go. Cool. I don't like number 4. I don't like how that works. So I think I'm going to delete that and redo it, which I can, and do this more kind of in the middle. There we go. Cool. All right. So, you should give yourself a little pat on the back because this is pretty cool. You look like a pro doing this, and we've identified our parts, and we've identified what it's named. We've identified the material on this. Now, if you did an assembly where you only had one pin, for example, but you duplicated it and you had it twice, then there's only you only need to do that once, because if, let's say that I had done the pin twice and it was number 3 and there was a quantity of 2, then it would say number 3 here and number 3 over here. So I didn't need to do that twice. I would have just done it once. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. But I hope it looks cool. Take a picture of that, submit it, and you are done with that assignment. So as I make this video, we're on our second to last day of the semester. So one more little thing to do, and we're done with this one, halfway done with the course. All right. Hope you had fun. Enjoy. See you next time.